Hey guys, so if you're in the market for a new portable solar power generator to fill all your electronic needs when you're going camping, take a look at this video and I just might have an answer for you. All right, first up in the test we have the Jackery Explorer 500. Notice that it has one AC outlet, three USB outlets, a DC input, and then of course the solar panel input. Second up, we have the Bluetti EB70S. I will point out that I believe this has been superseded by the Bluetti AC70. It has four AC outlets, two USBs. It also additionally has two USB-Cs, the smaller USB outlets. Third, we have the Jackery Explorer 1000. Three front panel AC outlets. It has two USB outlets. Additionally, it has two smaller USB-Cs. Again, has a 12-volt plug. This has two solar panel inputs. It has the 8mm input and then the, I can't remember what this is called, the direct solar panel input. And then the largest model that I have the Bluetti AC180. Notice it has four plugs in the front, two USB-As, four USB-As, one USB-C. Also has a 12-volt plug. Additionally, this model has a circuit breaker on the side and also has the AC input on the side. One more note about the Bluettis. Each Bluetti has a flat top with a wireless output, a wireless charging output on top. Notice the smaller one has it as well. The Bluettis have a handle on top, the Jackeries have a handle on top. No wireless charging capability on these two models that I have. I know, as I mentioned earlier, this one has been superseded by Bluetti, and the Explorer 1000 has been changed by Jackery. It now has a flat top as well. I don't know if it has wireless charging or not on it. One additional feature, each of the Jackeries has a emergency light or just a light on the side. The Bluetti has a light on the front here, and the Jackery Explorer 1000, again, a side light, and the AC180 does not have a light on it. So that kind of wraps up what each model looks like in terms of appearance. I will go over the weight real quick. The Explorer 500 weighs in at 13.91 pounds, so really easy to pick up and move around. The Bluetti EB70 weighs 21.4 pounds. It has a foldable handle on top, pretty easy to pick up. The Explorer 1000 comes in at 21 pounds, so it has 1,000 watts versus 700 for the Bluetti, but at the same time it does weigh a little bit less. And the largest unit that I have, the Bluetti AC180, comes in at a whopping 35.9 pounds. So it is definitely a more robust unit in terms of weight. And I'll talk more about why I think it weighs more later on in the video, but I did want to give you the stats. In terms of power, the AC180 has, you can see right on the front, has 1,152 total watt hours, although it will surge up to 1,800 watts. The Explorer 1000 has 1,002 watt hours. The EB70 has 716 watt hours, and the Explorer 500 has 518 watt hours. So another factor that kind of most of us will use when determining whether or not we're going to buy or even buy a unit in the first place, or which unit we're going to buy, is price. I will say that prices fluctuate dramatically on all of these units. So if you're not in a hurry, but you are in the market for one of these, if you look on Amazon or whatever webpage that you use, whatever site, I'm not trying to promote Amazon here. If you look on and the price you see is close to the MSRP, the manufacturer suggested retail price, I absolutely would not buy it. If you're on Amazon, I would put it in my cart and just watch it, because these go on sale pretty frequently, and when they go on sale, the price changes can be absolutely dramatic. So the Explorer 500, I bought it in February of 2020. I paid $481.55 for it, the Explorer 500, the smallest one. However, when I bought it, it came with the Jackery 100 watts folding on December 4th, and the Explorer 500 unit by itself was $299. So quite a bit cheaper if you don't buy the solar panel with it. If you want a solar panel, the Jackery 100 does do a good job. It's not weatherproof, so you can't leave it out in all the elements, but it is a good solar panel option, but it's pretty expensive. If you look at it, it's typically around $200, if not more, just by itself. But let's move on. The Jackery Explorer 1000, I paid $686 for it in January of 24. As of December 4th this year, it was down to $499, and I do know that on Black Friday, I looked at it. I didn't buy it this past Black Friday, but I was looking at the prices and it was down to $399. So that's essentially, nearly $300 cheaper than what I paid for it when I bought it. And what I paid for it was less than list price. The Bluetti EB70, I mentioned it's now the AC70S. I paid $531 in February of 23. As of December 4th, it's now $599. It was a little bit cheaper on Black Friday. Again, I mentioned, the prices are sometimes all over the place. And then the final one, the Bluetti AC180, I paid $535 for it in September of 24. So I actually paid less for the larger Bluetti than I did the smaller one. So timing is everything. Now, as of 12/4, it's $799. You can see there's a wide range of prices for sure, and that will definitely have an impact, most likely for you. It did for me. But I would, once again, just recommend, if you're in the market for one, you're not in a hurry, just keep tabs on them. The companies themselves run incentive plans and rebates as high as 50% off. All right, so the devices that I ran this fan, some kind of Chinese knockoff fan. I don't even know what the name of it is. I've had it for about 7 or 8 years, so it's been really reliable. I use this fan in the test. When it's operating on high, it uses 11 watts. I charged my iPad on each of these during the test. I charged it up 50 percentage points. While the iPad is charging, it uses about 13 watts of energy. The third thing that I used in the test was this LED light you can see here. Currently, I have it plugged into the Explorer 1000. When the light is operating, it uses about 5 watts when it's on max bright. This one you can vary the brightness. If you take it down, it drops down to about 2 watts. So incredibly energy efficient. And the last thing that I used is this, last thing I used in the test was this compressor fridge. Again, bought it off Amazon. Here's the model. Not trying to promote it, just saying that this is the model that I have. I've had this one for about 3 years now, and again, I don't use it all the time. Primarily in the summertime, and it's worked flawlessly. I only paid $200 or $300 for it, so definitely a good purchase. When the refrigerator runs, kind of fluctuates. The wattage usage will go from like 40 down to 20 and back up to 30, down to 20, up to 40. When the compressor finally kind of stabilizes after a couple minutes, it uses right around 38 watts until the unit gets cold, and then the compressor will kick off. When it kicks off, it doesn't use any power at all. So again, I ran the test on all of these for 3 hours, exact same conditions. And here's what I found. The Explorer 500, after 3 hours of testing, had 77% of its charge left, which means it used 23% of its energy. So it did really well. I was kind of shocked that the 500 had that much capacity left after 3 hours. The Jackery Explorer 1000, at the end of the test, had 15% of its power left, so more capacity, so its percentage was higher. the Bluetti EB70. Now this is the one I had a little bit of an issue with, not in performance, but in readability. It only has 5 bars. Each bar is worth 20%, so you don't get an absolute definitive amount of battery power that you have left. They have updated that, I believe. I'm 99% sure on the AC70 gives a more accurate reading. But regardless, the EB70 at the end of 3 hours had 4 bars. Now, that could mean it had closer to 80%. It could mean that it had closer to 60%. So it's nearly a 20% range. If I had to guess, it's probably in the 70s, but again, I could not verify that. I will say that I have used this as my solo unit on a camping trip, and it's kind of dramatic if you're monitoring your power and then all of a sudden, it drops down to only, 3 bars or 2 bars, and you're thinking, oh wow, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it through the night. The Bluetti AC180 at the end of 3 hours had 76% of its power, so it used 24%. So that was the stunner for me, that the largest unit, the Bluetti AC180, used as much power as any of the other units, which was really shocking to me. The Explorer 1000 was the most miserly. It only used 15% of its power. So at the end of this test, what I was able to come up with, if I'm using these units as only, in a camping situation or limited use, I'm going to go with one of the Jackery models. So even the Explorer 500 used less power than the Bluetti AC180, which really shocked me. So if you compare the amount of energy it used, the weight difference, the Jackeries are substantially lighter. And then if you factor in price, then for me, the Explorer 1000s are the runaway winner. Again, this is for me. So with that being said, do I regret buying the Bluettis? No, not at all. I had no idea, what I was getting into when I bought these. I was kind of, I did read some comparisons online. So I've heard good things about the Bluettis, and I have no issues with the way they performed. However, if you factor in the extra weight, especially of the AC180, it's just too cumbersome for me and my usage. I will say this: the Bluetti AC180, it is heavier, like I mentioned, significantly heavier than the Jackery Explorer 1000, kind of the equivalent in this test. As I mentioned earlier, it's about 14 pounds heavier, and that weight is noticeable. I'm 56 years old. Just for size, I'm about 6'2", 215 pounds, reasonably strong. But you have to, when you're picking up the AC180, you got to get 2 hands on it, and, you got to, be prepared to lift it. The Explorer 1000, 21 pounds, most of the time you can just pick it up with 1 hand. Even the handle was nice and comfortable. But back to the AC180 and its extra weight. I think the extra weight is built into its infrastructure. It's a more robust unit. It's capable of doing more than the Explorer 1000. It'll go up to 1800 watts surge capacity, which the Explorer 1000 will not do. So if you're using it for a really short-term dramatic load, maybe you're running a power saw or something like that, the AC180 is the only unit in this test that will do that. Now, when I'm camping, I'm not running any power tools, so that's not a necessity. I will say this. Where I live in Southern Ohio, we do have frequent power outages. Usually they don't last that long. So the AC180 is the only unit that I have that I could plug my refrigerator in, and it could kick on the compressor, run it, cool the fridge down, and be just fine. I did do a test. Mentioned I ran my Blackstone griddle with the AC180. That was a pretty interesting test. Starting with a completely cold griddle, I plugged it into the AC180, turned it on, and it immediately shot up to like 1400 watts of usage. So I mentioned the other units won't do that. And I was able to fry up some bacon, fried a hamburger, fried up some home fried potatoes, 19 minutes in total. And it, cooked my dinner, no issues whatsoever. And it used 44% of its power. so that at the end of 19 minutes, it had still had 56% of its power left. Now, is that something I would do all the time? No. But in an emergency situation, it's kind of cool to know that you have a unit that you can do that kind of thing with. Additionally, the Jackery Explorer 1000, as I was running the Blackstone griddle test with the 180, I hooked my Starlink internet router up to the Explorer 1000 and ran it for 3 hours to see, how it would do. Because I know a lot of people do have Starlink now on the road, especially full-time RVers. People that work remotely will use a Starlink or something similar. So the Explorer 1000 ran the Starlink continuously for 3 hours. At the end of 3 hours, it had 70% of its charge remaining. So it used about 10% an hour. So given that it's a 1,000-watt unit, it would last 8 hours, running your internet router, no problem. If I were using it on the road, I wouldn't be using my router continuously. But it's good to know that, it'll fire it up, run it, you can connect, get your jobs done, work done, communicate with whomever, turn it off, and you have zero issues with it at all. So at the end of my comparison, again, for me, the winner was pretty clear. The Jackery Explorer 1000 is the unit that I would buy again if I were looking to purchase again. Again, assuming the price is reasonable or comparative to the Bluettis, and it's a factor of weight for me. 21 pounds for 1,000 watts, self-contained. That's pretty hard to beat for me. If I'm on the road, I'm not running power saws. I'm not going to have my Blackstone griddle with me. So all I'm going to do is run my fan, my light, charge my devices, run the refrigerator, and the Explorer 1000 will do that easily with much less weight. So that was a big factor for me. So I hope you got something out of this. I'm going to call this part 1 of my video. I'm going to link part 2 to the video on the top somewhere. For part 2 of the video, I took the AC180 out to my van in the wintertime here. It was a sunny day, and I wanted to see, how much input I could get from solar panels on a winter day when the sun's pretty low in the sky. Again, hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you in the next videos. Bye-bye. So if anyone is interested in looking at the data sheet that I came up with at the end of my test, that has the make, model, price of all 4 units, the weights, how much power consumption was used during the test, I'll put a link to that in the description. So if you're interested, you can click on it and kind of compare my data with current data that you might be able to come up with. So again, thanks, and we'll see you later.